Tell me, it should have It Shoulda Been You is about a wedding day insanity. We all experience it. You and Neil were married about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about one experience of insanity during your wedding day.
We were pretty calm, actually, on our wedding day. We were, it was a wild year last year. I mean, beyond. We did everything that they say couples should never do. Move. Get a new house. Do construction on a house. Change schools, change jobs, and get married. I mean, we did all of those in 1 year. It was beyond. I mean, I can't believe that we're still together sometimes because it was a wild year for us. It was a whirlwind of a year. Just now we're sort of starting to settle. But it was a really great weekend. We only had about 47 of our closest friends and family, only immediate family. Neil's parents, my parents, my sister, her husband, his brother, his girlfriend, and that was it for family, and then all of our close friends. We spent a whole weekend in Perugia, Italy. We have a friend who owns a castle, which is crazy. We get to marry in a castle. I mean, I never would have dreamed in my whole life. It's beyond. And our good friend Mark Seed, who used to be in charge of Amy Pascal's life, who ran Sony, sort of stopped working for Amy and decided to sort of do what he wanted to do in wedding planning and event planning, and he said, I'll take your wedding on, because he was a good friend of ours. And it was a wedding without a hitch. I mean, it really was a dream wedding. I can't say enough about it. Everybody who was involved in the wedding had a job to do, so they had not only planning the wine tasting, or someone doing the truffle hunting, or someone doing someone else doing the hosting of the rehearsal dinner. I mean, these wonderful things that we gave everyone a task to do, so they felt like they were a part of the wedding. So at the end of the ceremony, we told everybody was part of the wedding party, because we never had bridesmaids and groomsmen, and everyone that was there was part of it. But if anything went wrong, I mean, you never know with a ceremony if things could, be the way you want them to be perfect. So we have these 4-year-old kids. There were 3 at the time, and we wanted Harper to go down as the flower girl, and then Gideon to go down as the ring bearer. Well, Gideon didn't want to be the ring bearer. He wanted to be the orange boy. He had this idea in his mind that he didn't want to hold the rings. He wanted to have oranges, and he wanted to pass out oranges to everybody in the crowd. He loves food, and he wants everybody to have a good vitamin C intake. So Harper, it was her turn to go down. The violins were playing. We had a 3-piece band, and she was terrified. And I went crazy on her. I was like, "You go down. This is the most important day of our life." I went on Mama Rose on her, and she didn't want to do it. So Gideon, you go down. He said, "Okay, I'll go down." So he went down first, and then she refused to go down. So we just picked them up, the 2 kids in our arms, and we went down together, and that was fantastic. I mean, it was wonderful. Although it was wild, because the night of the wedding, the party, Elton John performed, who's a good friend of mine, which is so weird to say. I mean, Elton John performed my wedding? This is strange. I mean, and he sang, and so I was screaming so loud that the next day I hemorrhaged a vocal cord. So I lost my voice. I had no voice within our honeymoon, and I couldn't talk at all. It was wild. So I guess that went wrong. There's 2 things, I guess.
And when Neil was here not too long ago, he discussed about both of you created the most amazing invitations, and you had these games for all the guests. You're talking about all the people that were involved, help-wise, everybody was involved planning. Could you tell us about those invitations and about some of these games, which is really, really interesting?
Well, the invitation was because it was a destination wedding in Italy, all of them were hand delivered, and they were in these big wine crates. So there were lots of herbs and rosemary and a bottle of wine, and then a candle from the the place that we're staying at, and a message in the bottle, like a disc drive that you could play, and it was sort of a Lost, sort of, I don't know if you watched Lost, but it was sort of, edited in a sort of cryptic way, to make sure that you find out about clues and you don't never know what's real and what's not. And we didn't want to give away where the wedding was, but there was like tomatoes and a loaf of bread and all this old Italian newspaper, and it was really, really, really beautiful. But everyone knew that there were going to be clues within the whole weekend, because we wanted it to be like a scavenger hunt where people never knew what would happen at any turn. So things would happen and people would have to, at the villa where we stayed and the castle where we stayed, people would have to find different clues within pictures they saw or Polaroids that we took, and they would have to solve clues within the whole weekend to find out what their task was or what's coming next. And it was a really special time.
And the wedding invitation itself, wasn't it a posh, like almost like a puzzle, a part of an invitation that you got the second part of the invitation, you had to put it together?
I don't remember.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. I think whoever RSVP'd found out the rest of the clues, so they knew where to go to find out the email address, where to get the information to make your flight plans and where you're going to stay and what's going to happen and what's going to happen to you. So whoever was able to go got the next half. So yeah, I guess you're right.